So today I want to get into a subject that I don't hear a lot of, but I kind of thought of it the other day, and it's very true. And if I pull out my case studies and discussions I've had with other financial planners over the years, I think you would identify with the topic I'm going to talk about, which is the estate and financial chaos in a business owner's life. Now, what's that all about? Well, first of all, there's business owners have things happening in their life that they're unaware of until it happens. We'll call those triggers. One of them is when they have to settle an estate. One would be when they retire, and one would be when they have a situation of succession. And what I found over the years is that they have this amazing amount of costs, larger than most. Now, that's not to say they can't be controlled. I'm not saying because they have larger estates that they're paying more money. Of course they are. But what I'm talking about are the controllable elements of these expenses, and business owners can control them. So, for example, let's take the estate area. In the estate area, one of the reasons why there's tremendous cost to settle an estate is there's been no planning, and the planning that has been done probably has not been updated. I've often said in my writings that you have two types of plans. You have a design plan or a plan by default. Well, even if you take the time to plan your estate, if you don't keep up with it, it becomes design by default. In other words, unplanned, and it costs more money. Another part of their problem is there's no liquidity. You know, business owners are notorious for putting so much wealth in their business, inventories, receivables, whatever it might be. Well, when the time comes when they need cash, it's not readily available. Many are underinsured and they don't have the insurance set up properly. And because of that, you need cash to settle an estate. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And now all of a sudden, without having that liquidity, you've got to go out and sell assets. Well, until those assets are sold out, the estate's not going to be settled. A third thing is no time. And that's, you kind of think about that. Well, there's no time. Of course, he's dead, you know, or they're dead, the owner. No time for anything anymore. But no, what I'm talking about, no time, is that they haven't taken the time to do the planning, or the planning that they have done, they haven't updated. In other words, a lot of times to get value in an estate to do the planning, it takes a long time. You know, sometimes you have children in your family, and you have to see where they're going in their little lives to see if they're going to take over the business. That takes time. You have systems so that you can get the most value out of your company. That takes time. You have key man, middle management, takes time. So in other words, unless they start some of these processes at an earlier time in life, they run out of time, they die, the estate costs more money. Another area would be the succession and transition of the business. Now, again, it comes back to no planning. There's no planning for the management to take over. That takes a long time. Finding the right people, grooming them, delegating, getting stuff off your plate, finding systems so that even though you have it all in your head, you need to share all that information. Takes time. There's no systematizing of the business. In other words, I've suggested to business owners that they document what they do. Even my own practice, I have a documentation. Now, it doesn't have to be elaborate. It's 1 or 2 pages, but it's step by step by step, and it's documented. You know, many businessmen walk around with it in their head. They don't share it. So if something happens to them, even where the front door key is to the building, right? Their wives sometimes don't know that again, you don't have a systematization of the business, which makes it very difficult to have a succession and transition plan. And no development of value drivers. You know, there are 8 to 10 value drivers that really relate to the ability to sell your business at its highest and most profitable value. Well, if you're not working on those value systems and drivers consistently, what do I mean by that? I mean good culture, good middle management. I'm talking about systems. I'm talking about good key people. So a lot of these things, you need to work on. Maybe you have a clientele that 5% of your clientele gives you 80% of revenue. Well, you got to change that because a purchaser is not all that important with that. Maybe you're working 500 hours a week and making $1 million. Well, guess what? Purchasers are not interested in working 1 million hours a week. They want businesses to grow, but they want them to be organized and ready to go. So because of that, it becomes very difficult. And when you try to have a transition or a succession of the business where these things are not in place, you either lose money, which when you lose money, to me, that's a cost. When you or you don't get the value you could have gotten out of the business. Now, the last one is the retirement. What am I saying by that? I've had a number of videos on this. I'll make this statement. The 401k, the simple plan, the 403b plan, the profit sharing, great for rank and file employees, great. You have to have it in your business. But I can tell you it's a nightmare for a high earning business owner. And why do I say that? For a lot of reasons. One, it's the wrong type of plan because the owner does not control anything in the plan other than making the contribution once a year, which they get a deduction. They cannot discriminate as to who should be in the plan. You know, there's a lot of people who have 401ks. They just expect it. They don't appreciate it. They just expect it. As an employer, I would want my employees to appreciate it. There's no access to the funds for the employer. Now, think about it, and I know this, my clients are always thinking about, if I need money, where do I get it? Because I need to buy inventory, I have payroll, I have all this stuff going on. Well, if you put your money into a 401k, guess what? When you try to pull that baby out, there's problems, there's taxes, there's penalties, especially if you're a young business owner in their 40s, where you can't take it out before 59 and a half. The other thing is there's high taxes, and most business owners are going to retire with rental income, passive income, whatever it might be. They're in a higher bracket, but they also have forced withdrawal of the RMD, where they don't have any control. They have to take it out and get taxed on that money. Where a executive compensation program, we can totally control that. They have to deal with the IRS. Now, I always say, if you don't have to deal with the IRS, why are you opening the door for this to happen? Well, again, if you have a plan that you are putting in for your employees, you do. You have to deal with the IRS. But my suggestion to high-paid business owners is to look into executive compensation. Executive compensation programs can do more for you than any pension plan can ever do, and the costs are probably about 10%, believe it or not. I've done the numbers, I know the numbers, and that's it. My point is the estate, the succession, and the retirement plan area for high-paid business owners can be a nightmare if you don't do the right things. I did tell you that I have a book, right? Okay, well, I have a book called Unlocking Your Business DNA. It's a good book. I wrote it a couple of years ago, and it's about the strategies I've used the last 50 years plus with business owners in my own practice to take a lot of time off, build growth, have great profits, enjoy life, and have a real good lifestyle, business and personal. And guess what? It's $3 on Kindle. I think it's $9 on paperback. And if you want it, go up to Amazon, look for it, Unlocking Your Business DNA, and all profits go to veteran groups. I think you'll enjoy it. Well, I hope this was a good message for you. And if you have any questions, you can call me at 203-530-6615 or email me at tperrone@necgginc. Thanks for taking the time.